Now we're going to look at Deanna. Deanna has scoliosis, which is a curvature of her spine. And we might as well take a look at Deanna from the back first to see the differences between the right side and the left side. Again, the wrinkles of the shirt won't lie because the musculature is literally pulling the body out of alignment. So when I look at the difference in the low back, in the lumbar spine, and you look at the wrinkles of the shirt here, and you look at the wrinkles of the shirt here, we have many stories going on. Deanna, like most of us, pushes her pelvis forward. Her femur bones are way forward in the front of her thigh. So literally, she's not standing in her back body at all. Anatomically, the femur bones should be way in the back and the sacrum fill up like a balloon so that she can lift up out of the front body and extend the leg bones out. She can't do that right now from where she's living in this body. So there's a lot of stress of the musculature pulling the bones out of alignment. And this building will not be able to hold itself up. You can see she has that deep curve in her low back. If you remember the child we looked at, Sophie's body, it's not dissimilar. The pelvis is thrust forward, the hips are thrust forward, the legs are pushing back in order to hold this body up, because if she kept going, she would just keep falling, falling, falling until she fell over. We want the body to open up and come back so the legs are free to extend out. Right now, this body does not have the optimum use of the psoas muscle. And the psoas muscle, as we know, is on the inner thigh, comes over the pubic bones, behind the crest of the pelvic bone, comes through the body into the lumbar spine. The psoas muscle literally holds the leg to the pelvis to the spine. So now let's start to unravel. When we look at the pelvis, you can see clearly that this right side is much lower. We can only be drooped, we have two legs, so we're only drooped either in the right or the left side. Deanna is definitely dropped lower in this right side. Her upper body is falling into the lower body. The muscles on her right leg, you can clearly see the difference between the musculature on the right and the left. Here, she's much more pronounced, much more thick, because these muscles, the log jam, if you will, the constriction, is in this area, way up in that perineal area, and that's where she needs to unravel. Again, remember, if we look at the feet, we'll see this result in the feet. She is dropped in that inner right arch. And Deanna's a yoga teacher, so she knows about alignment. She knows about the body, and she's learning to unravel her own distortions. So remember the perineal clock. 12 o'clock, right behind the genitals. 6 o'clock, right in front of the anus. A small 1 to 1/4 inch circle. So she wants to put her awareness right at the area between 12 o'clock and 1 o'clock. From the middle of that circle, the hands of the clock, right in the middle. 12 o'clock looks back through her legs toward 6, and you can see how she begins to fall these bones She's not pushing them. She's creating some space in here. We need to have the space so that these muscles, these quadricep muscles, begin to release and unfurl and soften. It doesn't happen out here. It happens in the center of that perineum. Her back body, because she tends to thrust the pelvis forward, in that perineal circle, 6, remember, right in front of the anus, 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock. So in the area of 5 and 4, these muscles are curled under and dropped in. They are literally hiding out. So there isn't any way to create the space and adequately use the psoas muscle. So she's going to say, I'm taking my 12 o'clock back, and she will feel her weight start to come back more on her heels. She'll also feel as if her buttocks are coming way back behind her. And it's a strange feeling because the buttocks have been tucked under. If you remember from my introduction, I talked about the perception. If we've been living out of balance for as long as we've been living in this body, we do not have an idea that we are standing out of balance until someone actually comes along and says, you're thrusting your pelvis forward. So you can already start to see that there's a difference. If you look back at her foot, that arch has begun to lift. So I'm going to ask Deanna, because she has a tendency to move the heel into the midline of the body, now that she's getting the idea of opening 1 and 2, to move that heel out, beautiful, and to keep coming back in the roots and let your body round a little bit.